7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow is deployed. Full course yellow is deployed.
Yes, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Full Course Yellow in Pit Lane's weekly get-together, where we talk about all things related to the weekend of motorsport, what's happened and what is going to happen over the next few weeks. I'm not sure what's happening at the moment with a whole bunch of things in terms of whether we're going to air or not, because I'm getting some very strange messages from the machine at the moment, but we'll assume that we are on. Yes, Box is well. Thank you, Box. Box has confirmed we are in fact on air. So good evening, Box, the official online supervisor of all things in Pit Lane, our executive producer emeritus. So thanks, Box. I appreciate that. Now, coming up on the program, look, there was no Formula One on the weekend. There is Formula One this weekend. There are no supercars that were there, but there was a lot of there was international racing. There was Sebring. There was the Nürburgring. There was Mugello. There was lots of local racing, and some of our people tonight were actually involved in it. We're going to talk all about that in a moment, although one of them is the one we were hoping to talk to has just miraculously dropped off the twig, as it were. But let's find out who is here at the moment as we find out. There he is. He's back again. There we go. We've got Peter Johnson. We've got Mark Jones, we've got Craig Doc Gladigo, and we've got Richard Outram, who of course is fresh from competing at the opening round of the AASA Victorian Motor Racing Championships at Winton last weekend. And Paul van den Akker is also saying that we are both on YouTube and Facebook. Thanks, Nacker. Thanks for that. Okay, well let's talk about in terms of big racing. It was so hard to keep up with. There's once again so much stuff on the weekend. I watched Sebring. I watched a little bit of the Nürburgring. I watched a little bit of the Creventic event at Mugello. I watched Calder Park. I watched a little bit of the South Australian State Championship. There was something for everybody. What did anybody else watch on the weekend? I mean, well, apart from Richard, we know what Richard watched over the weekend. He watched the back of other people's cars. But apart from that, what did we watch on the weekend? Pete, did you have a weekend off? Yep, your mic's still muted, Pete.
Yep. I had a weekend off. Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it was a double weekend off because, of course, Collingwood wasn't playing either. So we might actually get to that because there's been a lot of talk on some of the podcasts, a lot of the footy, the yak shows for the footy and all that about the chaos of the AFL fixture and what it's like. And we've got a similar thing happening. I mean, obviously with Formula One, I mean, we know why there's going to be a huge gap. But I was thinking today, supercars have basically lost any momentum they got from the opening two rounds is now gone, because it was like they had two rounds and now there's nothing until what are they next week or the week after that?
It's April the 10th to the 13th.
Yeah, still 2 weeks away.
Yeah, so still 2 weeks away. So it's going to be more than a month basically.
Well, everyone's got Easter first, and then everyone kicks off after that. But they've left it too late. I mean, this happened last year. Supercars last year did exactly the same thing. There was a couple of big gaps, wasn't there? We discussed.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose shipping is a bit of an issue for them. Getting to and from New Zealand. The only way they could have kept that momentum would be to fly the cars and equipment across to New Zealand. Shipping's a bit of a buzzword at the moment in the world that we live in. But yeah, the short of flying the series over to New Zealand, I don't think they could have gotten it.
I reckon they've got it all wrong. I can see all the reasons why they say this wouldn't work and all the rest of it, and why they prefer it not to happen. And I know there's contractual agreements, but I think it would be much better to start the series in New Zealand. Yeah, take the cars over there, run them in New Zealand, run them alongside of. I mean, you could have one of the meetings in conjunction with the New Zealand Grand Prix. So you've got all those internationals over there for the Toyota series. You could run the opening round of the supercars over there. You'd get huge crowds. The weather would be fine. The weather would be good. You'd have a couple, and then you'd have sort of like, okay, it'd be almost like a pre-season. You'd have the a couple of rounds coming up, and you'd say, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting now. We can see who's in. So we're just waiting. Oh boy, let's wait for them to come back to Australia.
Well, the Grand Prix. If they come back for the Grand Prix, boom, big hit when they arrive in town. That's my thought.
If they're not going to have a blue riband event, which I'm sorry, Sydney Motorsport doesn't cover it.
No.
If they're not going to have a blue riband event in Australia as the first round, then I agree that New Zealand should be.
I think one of the problems with hosting the kickoff of the series in New Zealand is that gives certain media outlets a great excuse to ignore it.
Well, they've got an excuse. Well, they're ignoring it now. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, like last week, I mean, we were getting messages on the chat from people saying, what about supercars? What about supercars? Because we weren't. There's nothing to talk about with super. As far as I can see, there's nothing that sort of pops out that I go, oh wow, we've got a really big supercar story this week. There's absolutely nothing, and all of the, everybody's just, waiting, and the cars are probably either there or on the way there. The teams are having a couple of weeks off. Some of the drivers are doing other things. I mean, we will get some of them competing up at Bathurst during both in the 6 hour and in some of the support races up there. So at least we've got
Tom Randall's running in one of the GTs at Phillip Island this weekend.
Yeah, that's turned out to be a better turnout than anybody was expecting. It's not a bad turnout of both cars and drivers for both GT3, GT4. We knew was going to be big, but it's really big. They've got a really good field for the Sprint Cup, for the Porsche Sprint Cup. They announced that today, and that's looking pretty impressive. Lots of interesting names there. There's also the opening round of the Mustang Cup, and they've got there's a few supercar drivers involved in that as well. And Aaron Cameron is there, and who else is there? We got.
Was Ryan McLeod in the list?
Yeah, Cameron McLeod. Yeah, Cameron McLeod. Yeah, Cameron, who is a Ford factory driver.
Ryan's son. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hoping. So this is the problem. I mean, with the fuel situation at the moment, because I didn't apply for media accreditation. I was going to, but it was so much of a hassle, and there was so much nonsense with, having to do quizzes and online training seminar and all that sort of nonsense. In the end, I went, I couldn't be bothered. But I was planning to sort of go down on Friday, because it is free admission on Friday. So if anybody does want to day out and see some great cars, head on down to Phillip Island on Friday. But with the fuel situation, and there's also coming up this weekend is the annual Rob Roy Historic, which is a really big meeting. And this year, in fact, the one of the organisers of the event contacted me today and was talking about they've got a great turnout, and they're celebrating this year for something different. They're celebrating the history of sort of classic Italian sports cars, and there's going to be quite a few really interesting cars there on the weekend. So I'm probably going to head off to Rob Roy on Sunday, and have a look at that and wave the camera around, because it certainly looks like they're going to have a good turnout. And it's a really good day, especially, hopefully the weather improves a little bit, because there is a little bit of rain about, but hopefully the weather improves, because if it's a good day, it's a really good day at Rob Roy. It's a lovely venue to sit by the side of the track and have some scones and a nice cup of tea. It's a very, very way to spend the day.
Last year we had that. I think fundraising for prostate cancer was a feature, and also, what were those buggies that were off to the side? We got some track footage of last year too, Brett. What were the
Yeah, that's right. We had the observed trial cars.
Yes, that's it. Exactly.
Yeah, they were out too.
very generous and let me to actually stand out in the middle of the track while they were running around, flipping themselves around left, right, and centre while I was out there.
Yeah, see, I forgot. I remember today. I thought, hang on, I think we went last year, but I know, obviously
we did the live stream the year before. We were
the year before
a live stream, and then last year we got out there and we had open slather on what we could film and what we wanted to do, and there was some really great sideshows last year.
Yeah, and there will be again this year. They've got the usual, the fashion show, and there'll be bands, jazz bands, and all the rest of it.
They ran out of scones and cream last year.
They did. It was a tragedy. Yes, James Moffat, Eric is pointing out that James Moffat is running in the Mustang Cup in a car with identical livery to Alan's classic Trans Am Mustang. So that'll be
fantastic.
Yeah, so it looks really good. So that'll be good as well, because I'd like to go down and catch up with that, but I certainly can't afford to stay down there. I did have a look. The closest, I think I said last week, the closest thing I could find there was an absolute dump of a place, and it was like close to just under $200 a night. So that was not happening. But if you do want to go down on the day, and it will of course be covered, on KO and Foxtel, but no free-to-air television of that this year. But and I don't know if there's a live stream from Rob Roy, but I do know that one of the things that I saw a post from Reese, they are actually laying fibre around the place. So that will make the life of anybody who is doing a live stream, including us, should we ever, be in the position to do it again. That will make life a lot easier for everybody. So good work to the MG Car Club. They're one of the more with it clubs. I was talking to our mate Roy a while ago, and he was sort of saying they're so much easier to deal with than a lot of the other clubs, and they really are, because they're very switched on in terms of marketing and making it easier for us, which is why they rang today. It's like, are you coming? And if you're coming, what do you need, sort of thing. So yeah, so
not just that, Brett. Obviously, any hill climb event has fantastic close-up proximity when it comes to viewing, but they go out of their way to be able to provide the little spots and all the way to the top of the hill for very welcoming when it comes to people spectating. You can get up really close, and especially the paddock too. Like most of them, it's completely open. You can walk through. There's fundraising, as I said. Brett was saying the fashion, also the side events, and everything is open slather, and you're made feel very at home, even if you're a newcomer.
It's the closest thing we would have. I mean, like we mentioned, in terms of being like a small thing, it's got those Goodwood Festival of Speed vibes again, but it's probably more genuine. It's not as my criticism of the Goodwood Festival of Speed was a bit like Adelaide. It was a bit sort of like the once a year Warriors, the Hooray Henrys, running out and going, I say it's absolutely marvellous. We're all here together, and look, there's a racing car. I don't know what it is, but my word, is it noisy? But this is this is hardcore, motorsport fans. There's a lot of people who are very passionate about the sport, and they'll all be out there on the weekend. And Sunday's the big day, so head up to Rob Roy. It's about an hour or so out. So it's a bit over an hour outside of Melbourne, depending on where you're coming from. It's about an hour and a quarter, hour and a half from here. So from the eastern suburbs. So up at Smith's Gully, and just pop it into your Google Maps or your Apple Maps and say Rob Roy Hill Climb, and it'll take you there. It's coming up this
lovely drive
this
there
Sunday.
too. Brett and I usually in the past have enjoyed it together. We looking at the sights as we're going along. Oh, lovely, So it's a wonderful drive there and back as well.
Well, if you've got
bridges that are falling down.
Well, yes, and unlike Bathurst, yes, it's the roads are a little bit. It does get a bit chaotic through some of the, because it is through prime weekend tourism spots up in the Dandenongs, and there's lots of cafes and Devonshire teas and
people with lycra on and with two wheels as well. We've got to be careful.
Yeah, that is the downside. Just you got to keep an eye out for them, because they get in the road and they're rather annoying. But anyway, that's coming up this weekend.
You're a lover of two-wheeled things.
Yeah, mine's got something that stupidly wants to set fire to yourself with. But anyway, I did actually get my 10-speed bike out during this week. Last Friday, but that's completely different reasons. I had to go. We'll talk about that off air. But I did get on my. I still have my Master Sports made by Repco 10-speed bike from high school. I still ride it. I've still got my black 10-speed. So I think it's 102 years old.
Well, there you go. So let's talk about now. Somebody who did race on the weekend is our very own Richard Outram, who, as I said, was up at the AASA Victorian Motor Racing Championships, which was a really interesting race in many ways because it was sort of the start of the new era. It is the age of Marcos. And we're not talking about the former president of the Philippines.
Well, this guy was the poster boy.
He was one of the poster boys. Yes, his vehicle
you were on
was all
Facebook.
over.
Yeah, you were when they put the XLs up. It was your car.
Me?
Yes,
really?
yes. That was.
I didn't know that. I was too busy racing.
Did you brush your teeth and do your hair? I hope so.
Yeah. While I was driving.
So let's talk about it. Was the first, as I said, it's the first, under some new rules. That basically, Marcus has come in as sort of director of competition and has made brought in a lot of, basically American ideas in terms of how it run, particularly rolling starts and a few other things. From your point of view, Richard, let's find out from your point of view, how did the weekend all come together, and what did you think of what do you think of all the new rules? And in particular, let's start with the most contentious one, I suppose, which is the everything now is a rolling start. What do you think of that?
Okay, I think it was well worth having a go. I think the jury's still out. However, for the XLs, it's a bit of a problem because they already run very close. They all arrive because... Okay, you get into the form-up zone and you're coming around to the start zone and every XL is right up the arse of the other one. Now, that means that there's very little gap, and when they arrive at turn 1 and 2, it's a bit of a melee. At every start, there were 2 or 3 cars off, and turn 3 caused a few problems, I know. But I don't think you should not keep going with it. I think the grid may learn a lot more. And Neville Bright, the president, I think he is, berated everyone for not showing some courtesy and patience, and he was right to do that. But the rolling starts weren't the only thing which was significantly different about the weekend. One of the major differences was using track time or race time, not clock time. In other words, there's no time printed on the running sheet to what time you're getting out there. If there are no pace cars, everyone behaves themselves, and there are 10 laps, finishes early, the next category goes out. They should be already there waiting to go. And
did that cause any problems?
Not really. I think everyone seemed to be on top of that. It didn't for the XLs. I didn't see anyone go, oh my God, I'm not here. So no, I think it worked well, except there is one problem. It suits a nice family with 2 or 3 mechanics a lot better than just a single old guy turning up looking after himself, because sometimes there's not enough turnaround around town barely to put fuel in the car for the next run.
You said when we spoke a little bit earlier tonight, you sort of said that you were impressed with the number of laps that you did get and the opportunities you had to go racing over the weekend.
Oh yeah, that was unprecedented, I could say. 4 sessions with 15 laps each. Okay, that's 60 laps. No, it's not. It's actually more than that because there was a safety car in between almost every one of those 4 sessions. And if we spent 3, 4, 5 laps behind the safety car, and we'd done 5 laps, that didn't mean, oh, well, only 5 to go. No, we still got the 15 laps.
You got discounted.
No discount. You're full. If you
That's what I mean. They discounted your safety laps and gave you the full tilt.
Absolutely. So we can look at doing 60 laps on 4 sessions. Then there was the half-hour familiarisation private practice on Saturday. Then qualifying, and Sunday. I think there was almost an hour worth of private practice. So you could do. Some of the guys must have done 100 laps or near enough too. So that's a lot of racing. I mean, I did so much. I had nothing left of my tyres on Sunday. My time started sinking like a stone because I had nothing left, and it was more like a drift session for me because the tyres are completely shot. And also,
can I interrupt with a legitimate, genuine question? Having done some pit crew for you recently, how did the gearbox hold up, please?
Fine. It's got a bit of a drip, but so has the oil catch can after the kangaroo hit it.
But the reliability was there for the day.
Yeah. It ran all day. The car got hit often enough to make it just wasn't the same car as it was when it turned up. And I can tell you, it was a bit of a Bradbury getting around there. Yeah. The seas parted as cars piled into each other, including me. How I managed to get away at turn 2 with basically a totally straight car, I'll never know. We're tangled rear and front wheel with another car, and he went round the nose and then slapped the concrete wall at turn 2 very hard.
So pretty much the same for all, not just yourself. A little bit of slap and tickle with everyone, was there?
Most of the cars had rubber donuts down the side of almost everybody. Big crash at the cleavage, turn 10. Lots of cars off in various directions. I went up 10 spots just from cars crashing.
So it sounds like you had a lot of fun as well too.
Look, it's hard, yakka, doing 60 plus racing laps, but gee, it really sharpens you up.
Good on you. That sounds like it was immense.
Yeah, I think it's working quite well. I think the race time will work even better when there are more categories or more cars, because as you know, the MA, there can be nice periods where you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs. There's very little of that with the new format that AASA have put together. Anyway, I'm impressed.
Well, I guess that's a function of having fewer categories on track, is that there's less downtime.
It is a luxury that AASA have had for it, because I've heard like people say, "Oh, we had so many laps," and it's like, well, yeah, but I mean, you've only got 5, 6 or 7, 5 or 6 categories. The state series, the Motorsport Australia state series, at one stage had I think about 11 or 12 categories running around, and everybody wanted, we want extra laps, we want 1 hour races, we want this and we want that, and the problem is they won't. They just absolutely refuse point blank in many cases to sort of merge the fields and try and cut down on the numbers to give people more laps and more times, because it doesn't matter. Like at Calder Park on the weekend, the Formula Ford race, I think the final race had 4 cars in it, and it was 15 laps around. And interestingly enough, and I don't know why. It wasn't really explained when I saw it, but they used the original circuit. They used the short circuit which I love. I think the old short circuit is much better than the extended one, and the racing for only having 4 cars in it, the racing was pretty good. The sports sedans, once again, a very fairly small field, but it showed why Calder can be why it's such a waste, why Calder can be such a great track, because you had cars there that were blindingly fast in a straight line. They would just smash away into the lead down the 2 long straights, and then through all the twisty, wiggly bits going back on the little cars would catch up again, and they'd drive round there, and they'd get in front again. And it was great racing, pretty much through the weekend for a lot of the categories. Even though the fields were very, very small, so that was so I did get the opportunity to see a little bit of that on the live stream. So that was quite good. But once again, it showed motorsport will eat itself. We've got a race meeting happening up at Winton. We had a race meeting happening at Calder Park. We had a Victorian super sprint round at Sandown on the Saturday, and we had the South Australian state championships at the Bend on the weekend as well, where I'm sure there were probably a few Victorians, particularly from the western suburbs, who may well have been over there racing as well. So once again, everything was tossed to the 4 corners of the globe. I think that's why the improved productions in particular were down at Calder Park, because that very strong South Australian contingent that often comes across wasn't there to add to the numbers. But anyway, that was
Simmons Plains was also on the weekend, apparently, the round 2 of their series. So yeah, that's so
much motorsport. So much motorsport going on at the moment. The point is how long it's going to go on is going to be the thing. I mean, we already know that we've lost a couple of Grands Prix already, but that's not the only ones. Apparently, there is now concern over Azerbaijan, but also just racing in general, because if this thing continues, and if this fuel crisis around, this is a global thing. I see people go, oh, well, this is,
no, it's been reported today. It's global. Everyone knows it's global today.
Well, they should, but I mean, there are plenty of idiots out there who are saying this is all because of Alba and the Australian government.
Don't even give it air. Seriously, we all know it's a global problem.
So it is a global problem, and the point is, if it gets worse, and there is a very real chance that it will get worse at some stage. I mean, Richard and I are probably the only 2 people on the panel who are old enough to remember this, but I certainly remember, and I imagine Richard does as well, the fuel crisis of the early 1970s, when motor racing in many parts of the world was effectively banned because of the fact that they just said, while people are queuing up for fuel to get to work, while we can't get food into the supermarkets, while we can't get goods into all of the shops and all the rest of it, and from the farms to the processing plants and all the rest of it, it doesn't look particularly good to have people with petrol in their cars going round and round into having fun going motor racing. So at some stage, I imagine that it really could come and bite us on the bum.
I'm sure we can all, even if you don't remember the racing part, I do remember what's coming up pretty soon will be the rations at fuel stations, which will depend on your number plates, whether it's odds or even, but they'll have to bring up something for private plates this time. Number 2, my dad bought 2 44-gallon drums, placed them in the shed out the back, and had one of those long hand pumps, and you used to swing it back and forth, and that's how he stockpiled it. But I mean, this time around, but we do have enough fuel. If everyone doesn't panic buy, we'll be able to just
and that's the point.
Anyway.
I think I said it last week.
They will.
Down here at the local, my local service station. I was talking to the guy there when I filled up last week, or put in some petrol, and he said, look, we're getting all of our deliveries. He said, normally we get one delivery of each sort of brand a week. He said I've had to order another 2. He said because, as he said, for 98 and diesel, He said we went through more than a week's worth of petrol. He said in 2.5 days
because there are idiots out there.
Yeah, he said they were queued up round the block. He said 6 o'clock in the morning. He said they were queued up for 2 kilometres down the block, and they were coming out with jerry cans and all the rest, and they were filling up in the morning, driving their 10 minutes to work, and then coming back in the afternoon and going, oh, they've still got petrol. I've got to fill up again.
I don't remember the banning Motorsport, but I do remember Phil wrestling with odds and evens number plates. I think it must have been in the early 80s or late 70s.
Yeah, well, there were a lot of that was strikes. They used to have a lot of fuel. We used to have every Christmas. It was traditional, at least in Victoria. You would have a fuel strike and a beer strike.
Yeah.
That was the thing. There was always Carlton United workers would always go on strike sometime around a threat to Melbourne's beer.
Well, the biggest beer problem in Melbourne at the moment is there's this viral bloody videos going around social media because the guy's got an old 350 hull jet ski with a VB bloody emblem on it at the moment on top of a Porsche around Melbourne, and everyone's car spotting that at the moment. It's just bloody ridiculous. Anyway.
But anyway, so that was on the weekend. So of course, overseas we did have, we still do have some overseas racing going on. Mark, did
MotoGP would be top of the pops.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, go to Doc first. Yeah,
I can wrap it up pretty quickly. Aprilias are still dominant, absolutely dominant, and I do have the results here. Bezzecchi and Jorge Martin, the Martinator, as he has across the back of his leathers. Just absolutely blitzed them. Just the Aprilias are great. But I do have my V46 t-shirt on. There you go. Just briefly had to stick my chest out. That hurt. I'll have to go and I've got cramps now. I'll have to go and lie down. Fabio Di Gianantonio, who Brett and I used to love saying when we did the show on Tuesday nights for Thursdays in the studio. He did really well on his Valentino Rossi bright yellow Ducati, and he was the best of the Ducks for the weekend. Bagnaia had a little bit better weekend than usual and managed to get into the qualifying the start without having to go through Q2, got into the Q1 part at the end, and Marc Marquez just got left a little bit by the wayside, only got fourth, so it's a bit of a more of an open field. Don't forget to mention old Thriller Miller. Yep, unfortunately he and the new
crashed.
Yep, the Yamahas aren't feeling too well.
How long are they going? Because it has become a thing now. It's so often we say an unfortunate weekend for Jack Miller. Was up in 14th or 15th place and then put it down, or the front end washed away, and it's just becoming at this level, at the highest level of motorcycle racing there possibly can be. To me, he's putting it down way too often.
Well, the big it's data. We're getting so much data. Jack's input, all that. I'm not going to bang on all those particular reasons, but I'm actually going to throw something out there. Alex Rins, I've always been a big fan of, Brett knows, and Renzi's probably got just as much experience these days from around the tracks, almost as much as Jack. Maybe not the highest level, but yeah, he seems to be handling the bike a little bit better. But yeah, you're right, Brett. It's probably, you have to say he's on his... We thought he'd wrapped up in the last year or two, and there was, a lot of input from people saying, "I'm willing to throw some money at it if we can keep him in MotoGP." And for a satellite team, his creativity and his appeal is going to be so much good. But anyway, cut a long story short, so we had a sprint race, and we had it was over Brazil at Autodrome Ayrton Senna. So yeah, good stuff. I'll wrap that up. Done and dusted. A little bit of a break now for us as well too.
Don't you mean Senna Agris?
Sorry, it was at Autodromo Ayrton Senna.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry.
Oh, that's the track. Yeah, that's the track. Yeah, the track name.
Autodromo International Ayrton Senna.
Yeah, that's the new name. That's the name for the track. Now, which incidentally broke up very badly, and managed to shower some of the riders with some very large bits of asphalt. And and there were bits of it that really did look like like the fifth late on the fifth day a test in Sydney. It was the cracks were like that wide in some places.
Turn 4 everywhere.
Yeah, so it was a real mess, and a lot of the riders are saying, well, like they thought that probably. Did we go to the track before it had time to settle down? Because apparently after the first couple of sessions, it became fairly obvious that there was going to be a big problem with the track breaking up. So hopefully they will get that fixed. But apparently they had a good crowd, so that's one thing. But as Doc was saying, they've been affected by the crisis as well, and there are rounds that are missing from MotoGP as well. So. I think this is the case. Spectators for the 6 hour might be interesting, and it's not just spectators. I imagine there might even be some competitors who are going to be looking at it and going, "Oh, gee, that's well." You said Richard that you were just looking at the budget for your weekend because of the fuel getting up there and racing and that.
And I'm assessing my budget for even just to go to Calder. Is fuel going to become a hassle?
I think you've got to look at at least for this year, wouldn't you, Richard? Probably everyone in any particular position in the industry, full stop, would have to look at this. I don't think it's going to happen and finish up in the next few weeks because there's going to be the overflow of effect from all the catching up on it. So you'd have to say it'd be end of 2026 before we look anywhere near looking.
Well, I mean, even the damage has been caused. Even if they stopped, even if they stopped overnight, we woke up tomorrow morning and they said, "Okay, it's all over, guys. Sorry, it's the damage that's been done to a lot of the refineries and a lot of the infrastructure already is going to take." And this is one of the worries. I mean, I saw a thing I was watching some television from France last night, and there was an expert on there who said, if this continues on, we could be looking at the effects of this for the rest of this decade, if not more, because they said, because of the damage that's going to be caused to a lot of infrastructure, you don't rebuild giant petrochemical processing plants overnight, and if they're striking them, if they're getting destroyed, then we could have this problem for a long time, unfortunately.
Well, there are also the side effects. When you have over 300 billion wiped from the ASX, it affects everyone in this country.
Yeah, well, everyone around the world, because it's just the stock markets are crashing around the world. The only upside, as someone said, apparently, one of the side effects, not only is oil not coming through the Straits of Hormuz, but Australian meat isn't going through in the other direction as well. So apparently there's an oversupply of beef and lamb at the moment, and they said over the next few weeks expect the price of steak and lamb to come down considerably. So there is an upside.
Easter lamb roast.
I love lamb.
Can I?
Yeah. Lamb's my favourite meat.
Yeah.
So
yes, well, I was saying to Richard before I got caught today. I went to the doctor, and I was saying to Richard, the upside of going to my doctor up at Roeville is that no matter what happens at the end of that process, I go over to Stud Park and I go to Stud Park Fish and Chips, and I have the best slow roasted, spit roasted lamb souvlaki that you've had anywhere. And I was just and I thought all week I've been going, I'm going to the doctor, so I'll be able to have my souvlaki. And
shut up about the food. I haven't eaten yet.
And at the end of it, I went and I walked over there and I put in my prescriptions and I walked there around the corner, and there is the shop with boards up against the wall and, exciting new retail opportunity for lease now. They've shut down after about 30 years. They've shut down, and I was just, I was heartbroken. So, not happy. I was, really looking forward to that.
And the other thing with the 6 hour and Bathurst generally is apparently there's a section of the Great Western Highway that is closed down because of a bridge.
Yeah, that's going to affect actually. That's actually going to cause a lot more hassles for people coming out of Sydney than it will for people coming up from Melbourne. But it is on the main road on the Great Western Highway going up to out of Sydney up to Bathurst, and they're saying to people it might actually be quicker at time for them to drive all the way down from Canberra to Canberra or to Goulburn, and then come across through there, and then go basically go the way that we go up through, sort of Young and those sort and Cowra and those sorts of places. So they said,
Well,
that's
really bad? I've never seen it.
What's that?
Is it really bad with the bridge out?
Oh, it's down to one. They're putting in. It was an emergency. It's falling down. It's been there for
194 years.
Yeah,
bridge. It's like one of the oldest bridges in Australia, and it's somehow never been significantly upgraded, and now it's falling out from underneath the road.
Yeah, so it's Roy is saying Roy is heading up to Bathurst, so Roy will see you up there if you go up there. Long drive from Ballarat, staying in a caravan out in the bush. So well, at least you're not camped on top of the mountain, Roy.
I'll give you the overview. The Great Western Highway at Victoria Pass between Mount Victoria and Lithgow is closed in both directions for at least 3 months starting March 2026 due to a structural cracking in a 200-year-old bridge. There you go.
Now it's indefinite. Because that's been closed. That 3 months has expired, so now it's indefinite.
Yeah, Mitchell's Causeway is another. Yep.
Yeah, so that's going to be a big hassle for that whole region there, because that's obviously
primary alternative route is the Bells line of road. Use that one instead.
Yeah, so
supposedly it's about a 10 to 25 minute detour, depending on the time of day, but of course depending on traffic and all that. Yep. But that's going to be quite a bit longer delay, I imagine, when we get to Bathurst 1000 time, if that's still an issue when we get to then.
Yeah, so as Phil's saying, if there is a crash on Bells, it closes to people who just go back home. I mean, and it is up there. I have done the drive from Sydney to Bathurst on a couple of occasions when I've hired cars up there, and it's a lovely scenic drive. It's a beautiful drive up through the Blue Mountains, but it does take its time, and you get a lot of the tourist traffic, and also the people going up to Bathurst as well. It can be a bit of a drag driving up there. So if you've got any sort of major roadworks around the place that are causing hassle, of course, if you are in Sydney and you are going to Bathurst, and if you have somewhere to stay, I can highly recommend the train. Especially if you're one of the older. From the older generation, like myself, where it will cost you a whole $2.50 to go from the heart of Central Station all the way through to Bathurst. It's a nice. You look out. The train's nothing to write home about. It would be very nice if it had a folding table down, and it would be even better if it had sort of USB charging and all the mod cons. It has none of that sort of thing. Working toilets would be good too. But it's about 3.5 hours, and you just arrive nice and refreshed. The seats are very comfortable, and you just go through and you just get off at Bathurst station, and you walk to your hotel, and it's lovely. And it's cost $2.50 up, $2.50 back. There you go.
Okay. Fun, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a really good way to do it. I mean, it's certainly if I go back, I certainly would want to go back. I don't think I could ever drive back up there again in the way there. I mean, it wasn't as much the camping; it was the drive. The drive was the main killer, and both up and back. And yeah, that would be the way if I. And I did promise my doctor today. He said, "Yeah, you do promise me you will never ever do that again." So.
I'll drive you up, Brett. Don't worry.
Sebring, if I may.
Yes. That's one thing that I did watch as well.
And that was a fascinating event with quite a bit going on. And while the battle for the win was certainly. I mean, there was certainly going to be the race was going to be won by one particular team in Porsche Penske, but how that happened was, they were close all race, and then late in the race, and this is something that Kevin Astray in the number 6 car, Matt Campbell's car, just by the by, was, I'm not sure I want to say complaining about, but pointing out during post-race chats and what have you, that they were told to settle in place. And that's a message that Phillip Island didn't, in the 7 car, didn't seem to be all that interested in. The 7 car was faster, and maybe there was, at the time, pressure being put on the Porsches by the quicker of the Cadillacs and Acuras. And NASA did get in front of Astray during the run towards the end of the race, and he certainly was driving a bit faster than Astray at the back end of the race. But yeah, certainly that was a bit of an issue. Parker Thompson, the former Toyota GTD racer, got into a bit of strife. Thompson's moved on from the Vassar Sullivan Lexus
he
team,
might be moved on again too, especially if the owners of the car he crashed into had.
Since One Nation seems to be the topic here in South Australia, please explain.
Please explain it too. No, Thompson's now racing in LMP2 car, and he was side by side with a Corvette running down towards a braking zone. But if you remember a few years back when we had the street race at Newcastle, and Craig Lowndes and another car got into it on the run up the hill when the course was tightening up a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of exactly what happened there. There was broadside hit between
from the 2 cars.
The Corvette went flying off the track and bounded off some solid and semi-solid objects rather hard. But not hard enough that they couldn't repair the car and get it back on track in about 2 hours.
A hip and shoulder, Jonesy.
Yeah, it was a bit. Yeah, and that was one of the things that
Thompson put his hand up and said, mea culpa, my bad, and went and apologised. And the team leader of the car said, you can stick your apology up, because that's cost us, probably
how many fingers am I holding up? Yeah.
It cost us more than one of those. It cost us that much at least in terms of millions. So so they were not happy in terms of what happened there, and they probably got every right to be. But it's a unique race. I obviously I haven't been, but I know that I've spoken to a couple of people who have been. I know John Davison always said, because I said about how much I loved Le Mans, and he said, I've been to Le Mans. He said, but Sebring is amazing. He said it's an adventure like no other. That it's very popular with a lot of people who go there, and it's certainly another one on the bucket list. That if you had sort of a very, very big bucket full of money and you could go there, it would be certainly one that you would like to go, because everybody seems to love the place.
And paint yourself white.
Very white. Get some nutters amongst the crowd. You think of some of the campsites at Bathurst over the years, and or say Nürburgring or at Le Mans, where you get some rather eccentric groups of spectators. Yeah, Sebring is that version of event spectating in the US. Lots of really enthusiastic. Really enthusiastic fans, some of which with rather large liquid budgets, and
yes.
It's it's a seriously fun event, even though they're racing on 80-year-old concrete from the old they was a World War II airfield,
and it is still a working airport when it's when they're not racing air. They do have light planes. Some of the areas are still open for light planes to land on, but it's the fact that there is any racing there at all, and they even test Indy cars there, which is really bizarre as well when you consider how stiffly sprung they are. And you have a look, you talk about sort of Calder Park. Calder Park has nothing on Sebring, and they're racing. They're racing state of the art. Prototypes around the bloody joint, and it's
I reckon that'd be a great way to simulate street circuits. That level of bumpiness.
Well, I think that's one of the. I think it was somebody. Will Power said at one stage. He said, somebody had said something about a street circuit. I think it was even here. It might have been here in Australia. And he said, "Don't." He said, "Hey, don't complain about bumps around a street circuit in Australia in a touring car." He said, come out. He said, and drive an Indy car around Sebring and see how then you'll have something to complain about, mate. And we do it, and it's. And as I said, though, because it's got all those bumps, I remember that Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich from Audi used to say that 6 hours at Sebring was worthy of 24 hours on any other track in the world.
Yeah, I think I remember that comment.
There was also in the Sebring the third place finishing Cadillac from one of the Wayne Taylor cars was sent to the rear of the class afterwards for excess camber, too much camber on the car, so they went from third to 25th.
Maybe an extra degree or two, Jonesy.
Well, enough that they thought that like the IMSA's version of disqualification at the moment is, well, no, we won't disqualify you from the results. We'll still let you get points, but you'll be last in class, and. So that's how they do it these days. It's send you to the back rather than send you.
And we also had
disqualification was a bit of a theme of the weekend too. From what you're about to throw to, I think there, Brett.
Well, I was going to say was
before Brett throws. I'm actually the official supplier for Verstappen Racing tyre.
You look very tired, Doc.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm the tyre supplier for Verstappen Racing.
We'll get onto that in a second, but I was just going to say, but let's stick with Sebring for a second. Hunter McElrea, we mentioned Matt Campbell finishing second. Hunter McElrea had a good result in LMP2, and
he won.
Winning the class, and Scott Andrew was up there. Didn't win, but was up there or thereabouts. So we had a few Australians and honorary Australians running around and doing quite well there. So that was there. Now they go from they've gone from two incredibly long races in Florida, the Daytona 24-hour and the Sebring 12-hour, to basically a 1-hour race around the streets of Long Beach in a few weeks' time. So from very much a different, sort of from a test match to a T20 very quickly. So that's coming in a couple of weeks' time.
Just before you do, Brett, as well too, I watched a bit of Magello, but I don't think we're going to have time to review it. We're already on 54 minutes, so yeah. Magello was good too, if anyone wants to jump on YouTube and have a look at that.
Yeah, I had a look at bits. I did have a look at bits of it over. That's the Graventic series, but of course the main focus on GT3 was, as you were saying, over at the Nürburgring, Nordschleife, and despite putting in another remarkable drive with his equally capable teammates, incidentally, Max Verstappen crossed the line first in the 4-hour second round of the NLS, and unfortunately, as Doc has alluded to, he managed to use one set of tyres too many. They're limited to 6 sets of tyres, and Max, somebody miscounted apparently, or deliberately on purpose or whatever, but somebody miscounted and they used 7, so he was disqualified, and that was the end of that. But a very good run.
I'd just like to know that you'll never find out, or you have to dig a lot of digging. In a lot of categories throughout the world, a lot of racing, a lot of events, you get allocated amount of sets. So I just wonder how you'd have. Like there's a complete joke behind me here, but if you've got an extra set somewhere, where in blazes did you get it from, or who, what, when, where, how? So it's just, did you just rock up and buy 10 sets and use 6, or do you, whatever it is, or say, excuse me, if you're not using those, I'll give you $500 and can I have those? Or,
well,
I
don't know. Guess in this particular instance, the team that runs Verstappen's car, which was Winward Racing, they had a couple of cars in the race, and the one of their cars was out very early in the running, so they had a stockpile of
forgot to chalk it.
Yeah.
And it's happened.
The team guy at Windward stuck his hand up and said, "Yeah, that was our mistake." Sorry, Pete, you were.
And it's happened before in Australian motorsport and also in Formula One, where people have used.
Yeah, I just think it's just in modern day. I mean, how do you really sort of get that wrong? I mean, as time goes on, it's pretty intense. If you go into like the B12 or you go up to the 1000, the supercars, or there's just such a regimen inside the pits when you go. I mean,
but it's happened.
Richard's got a checklist that goes from as long as the Hyundai from one.
But it's happened. It's happened in the 1000. It's happened in the 12-hour.
Oh, no, it's happened before, but I'm just saying, as time goes on, there's checklists done and teams get better at doing logistics and counting and procedures and all the stuff they go. And I know everyone makes mistakes, but it's a whole set of tyres that have been chalked wrong or stockpiled wrong. It's just it just seems a little, as time. I thought the teams get better. I mean, when we were at Bathurst for the 12-hour, I don't think I brought this up, but they had the two BMWs that were up there, and the factory ones, the WRT ones, and then you've got the satellite team. What was it? KRT. One I got as well.
The Chinese one.
Yeah, the Chinese one, and the differentiation, other than they all had the same parts and stuff on them. You looked at the two garages or the two in the pits. And the WRT, they were after even a practice session, had the vacuum cleaner out, going over the car on the spoilers and every little nook and cranny. Whereas, just over in the KRTs, they're just running the rag over it, just giving it a bit of a wipe. So it's the intensity of the scrutineering of the team has on themselves. So I just wonder how you could misplace or you forget something. And, you have normal breakdowns and repairs need to be made for cars. And, there's issues that sometimes they can't figure out until after the race has happened. It was a fuel pump or a wire came off or wherever it may be. But to actually have a full set of something or, comms break down quite regularly because of communications. You go to different circuits and they've got different wirings and different Wi-Fi and... Anyway, Brett is back
at the Nürburgring, where there's a limit on the number of garages for, like, the race that we had just then had 123 cars in the field, and they certainly don't have 123 garages. Famously for NLS races, you've got around 6 cars sharing each garage in the Nürburgring set up for there, so there is a bit of chaos, certainly back and forth as each of the teams sharing their garages arrange as to when their cars are coming in.
The interesting thing was that despite, I don't know if you mentioned while I was off elsewhere for technical reasons, but the interesting thing was that Max said afterwards, despite the disqualification and everything else that happened, he said he had an absolute ball. He said it was 10 out of 10. Yeah, he said it was just, he said it was, as he said, it was real racing. He said it was lots of fun, and everybody who was there, because they do share so many, there were lots, it'd be like sort of, turning up at the Bathurst 6 Hour, Richard, in your XL, and you're sharing the space there with, Walkinshaw United, Walkinshaw TWRG or TWG or whatever they're called now, or Tickford or somebody like that, and you're all there together. And everybody who came into contact with Max said that he was very much one of the boys on the weekend, and he was having a chat with everybody, and it wasn't like he was a very special person who was smuggled out of the car and pushed away and went and hidden out. He hung around and he wandered around to some of the other pits and spoke to some of the other competitors, and and so he just said he had a ball. And as he said it just made him probably, if anything, even more disenchanted with the world of Formula One at the moment, and also the fact that he is, as he said, very, very keen to do other forms of racing. And one of those things, and he came out and said he said, I want to do the Bathurst, and not the 12-hour, he wants to do the 1000.
Wow.
Well, he's out of the bubble, isn't he? So it's something different. He's been in the same narrow-minded path for years and years and years. He's actually get to do. He's made the initial grab himself. He wants to do it.
Well, you remember Fernando Alonso a few years ago basically took 2 years off of Formula One to go and do other things. He was running World Endurance. He did the Indy 500. He did a whole bunch of other things, and and he came back
and was very successful with, obviously winning Le Mans as well. And you could see, I could see Max actually doing that. Like particularly now at his age, if he gets to the end of the year and goes, I'm going to let all this nonsense settle down. I'm going to go off and I'm going to do a Fernando, and I'm just going to take off, 1 or 2 years. I'm going to go and I'm going to do Bathurst, and I might even do an IndyCar race. I might do a NASCAR race. I might do a whole bunch of different things. I might just go and walk along the beach with my kid or something like that. But whatever, I'll just take a couple of years off. I'll let all this nonsense settle down. I'll let the rules sort themselves out, and then when the time is right and if I'm feeling like it again, I might get a new burst of energy and say, okay, right, I'll come back, because he's still young enough to do it.
And Kimi Räikkönen did it as well. He went off to do rallying for a couple of years, and it didn't work for him. So
and not by choice, but that's what Valtteri Bottas is doing now as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't his choice to take a break like that, but he did, and he's gone off and he's done a whole bunch of other things, and now he's come back and he says, my mind is clear again, and I'm having, I'm grateful to be back. I can't see Daniel Ricciardo doing that. I saw an interview. I saw an interview with him like that, and he went, "Oh no, won't get back into that. No way. I'm having a ball right now, so just leave it."
And I have some.
Go Pete.
I have some breaking Formula One news.
Oh, this is good.
Well, it might not be that spectacular, but.
Don't undersell it, Pete. I mean, we need all the help we can get.
It's not about Aston Martin, is it? Because it can't be spectacular if it's about them.
Well, it is. Jack Crawford will drive for Aston Martin in free practice 1 at this week's Formula One Japanese Grand Prix.
Yeah, they did announce that earlier.
That was earlier today, yeah.
The interesting
so
thing
it's
about
another
that
Fernando Alonso sabbatical. It's just a really, really short one.
Well, but that's why I did.
Jonesy's already made a comment well before the show today about making sure his hair's in the right place.
But the interesting thing is going to be, and as I inferred earlier, I wouldn't give it a guarantee that Fernando, after sitting out for the free practice 1, might have a look at the situation, might have a look at what the car's like and all the rest of it, and go, no, I don't know. I'm just, because he's already said, I've got problems with my hands. I've got problems because of the vibrations and all the rest of it. I've got headaches. I've got all sorts of things. It'd be a good excuse to say, no, listen. Yeah, listen. I just, no, leave it with the kid. He can run it. I'm not until this problem is solved. I'm leaving.
Yeah,
and another motorsport show said, would Aston Martin even show up in Japan with Honda engines?
Well, they will. Yeah, they've
of course they will, because that'd be corporate suicide not to.
Yeah, Concord agreement.
It's Honda-owned racetrack.
Honda-owned racetrack, Honda's home market, and they've got a very ironclad contract.
With the initials 360 in the title of the motorsport show.
It'd have to be a betting agency at the moment saying it, like who's going to give you the better odds on Cadillac or Aston Martin for the bottom of the ladder for the year. That's got my interest more than anything else.
Let's just point out that as well, one thing we didn't, because I mean it's there all the time, and you sort of if you're not sort of focused on it, you forget about it. But congratulations again to Shane Van Gisbergen, who started 33rd, finished 14th, despite after being a lap down. He's getting there. He is slow in terms of oval tracks. He is slowly but surely getting there, to the point where now people are some of them over there are starting to get a little bit worried, because as somebody said last year, I forget who it was, I think it might have been Kyle Busch, who said, this will click eventually, and when it does, we could be in trouble.
They're now starting to ignore him. Before it was all the fun and games, SVG this, SVG that. The little guy coming over from a far off country. He's winning a bit too much,
He's not a novelty anymore.
Yeah,
No, that's it. He's being spoken about. I mean, he is in the points now, genuinely, not just on the basis. His performances in a few of the oval races has been enough that he's picked up a few points here and there. So he is certainly getting better, and there are, of course, still a couple of road races to come. So that might be
Sonoma and Watkins Glen.
Yeah. In terms of Jared pointing out about the fuel costs for the 12-hour next year, that is going to be like any international racing is going to be a big issue, because if they can't get through the straits from it, they've got to go the long way round, and that's going to add an awful lot of money to the cost and a lot of time.
It's time more than the money, I'd suggest.
The air fuel at the moment, there's no interruption to that. There's no extra cost. Singapore's actually, and the Asian countries that supply our fuel for our aircraft, there's been no problems there. Maybe a little bit extra in charging, because Jetstar have taken a few flights out to New Zealand, but everything is still status quo on the airlines, because we're still getting all our jet fuel, no problems.
And so the good news is I will be flying down to Phillip Island on the weekend.
I'm going to get to
that. What hangar you at, Moorabbin? I'm going to sneak into the hangar.
Moorabbin be buggered. I'm going out. I'm flying from Calder. I'm going in. I'm going in a 747.
Oh, bugger it! I was going to say
there used to be an airstrip in the middle of the Phillip Island circuit. So maybe you could land on that.
Yeah.
There certainly was. Well, there is still an airstrip up the road now, and I know because my old man and we camped in the middle of the airstrip a very foggy night, and it was like, we'll pitch the tent here.
There's a bit of concrete here. We'll just park it.
Well, it wasn't concrete. No. Dad got up early in the morning and went, God, they make these bloody holiday houses got weird, and suddenly he went, oh my! Pack up, go quick, quick, pack up.
Shit, that's a pretty big B above us.
Yeah, so we had to pack up pretty quickly and get the hell out of the joint, because we somehow managed to park on the edge of the
It's like the Griswolds waking up, if they did in the movie again, in the middle of Wobbie's world.
Yeah, it's a bit like that, but anyway, let's wrap it up, everyone. Now, once again, we will let you know. Also, I'll just let you. It's easy down on the bottom, but an interesting thing is, because as you know, I do commentary out at Calder Park for the drag racing and roll racing. We had a fabulous turnout, drag racing turnout. It was a drag racing only meeting. We had a fabulous turnout. April the 3rd, we've got the opening round of the Summit Racing Victorian Roll Racing Champ Series. That's coming up, but it was announced late last week that there will be roll racing. There's 3 roll racing, part of a growing national promotion, which is in this case called Roll Racing Victoria or Roll Racing Melbourne, and they've got 3 meetings coming up, and those 3 meetings are going to be held at Sandown.
Wow.
So that's and the reason they're going to run them at Sandown is they're going to take over the noise restriction free days from the cancelled Sandown historic meeting. So that's the first of those is coming up in May. They've been running very big events up in Sydney and Brisbane and over in Adelaide. So they're going to be racing coming up in a few weeks' time. And also, if you're a drag racing fan, coming up, if you want to watch some drag racing this weekend, coming up, there is drag racing from the Bend. It'll be worth watching. The Bend is the fastest and best prepared drag strip in Australia at the moment. You'll see all sorts of faster, lots of top cars, top fuel, pro mod, top door slams, all the rest are coming up this weekend. There's Santa Pod in England of a night time. If you want to watch some stuff, they've got a big meeting there for their opening round of the season. Plus, of course, the GT's down at Phillip Island. And coming up, of course, we're only a couple of weeks away from the Bathurst.
One more very important strip, if you're looking for Brett for the next couple of days, there's a strip down here in the middle of Melbourne called the Junction Oval.
Junction Oval, yes.
And the Victorians are playing in the Sheffield Shield. So if you're
Not
looking
for
for
the first. Not for the first.
B. Ramsey, he'll probably be there, sitting there, eating his beautiful fish and fips or his favourite kebab, lamb kebab, watching the Victorians beat the South Australians. In the
Not
Sheffield
for the first couple of
in
days.
The rain.
Not yeah, that's it. For the first couple of days, I won't be.
Is this Shield final?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
it's
it is.
Final, yeah.
Junction Oval, St Kilda starts.
Yeah, and by the way, it is a 5-day, because it is the final. It is a 5-day match, so it's basically a test match there. So that starts on Thursday, but the forecast is rain, showers, and then sort of clearing up, over the weekend.
Rain.
Go Bolo!
Yeah, and can I wish Jordan Roddy luck if he's actually running his Sebastian Bourdais Indy at Long Beach.
Okay. Okay, well, that was last year. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard what this. Yeah, so I don't know whether he's over there. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. Yeah, in a couple of weeks' time. As Box is saying, remember, Formula One Japanese Grand Prix, Sunday afternoon, 4 p.m. So absolutely ideal time for us here in Australia.
It won't be delayed due to rain. It wasn't last year.
Yeah, so it's a much better time. It's a much better time. Running it this time of year is a bit more reliable than running it in October. That's when they
will have to be. They will have to be careful with their Geiger counter readings at the racetrack about earthquakes.
That joke's been going and doing the rounds.
Yeah, that's on Facebook. That joke.
That's that one. Yeah, sorry, Jonesy, you're late to the party on that one.
The Godzilla. Are we talking Godzilla?
No, we're talking about the vibrations created by the Honda Formula One engine.
Yes, of course.
Yes, might bring back some bad memories over there. Okay, everybody. Hey, thanks for joining us again. It's been sort of even more chaotic than there, but we've been all over the place, and that's all right. We're just here having a bit of a chat about motorsport, and we sort of go off in all sorts of tangents. Remember, if you're in Melbourne and you're looking for something to do on Sunday, head out to Rob Roy, and I will. I'm certainly going to try and be there, and that is at least the plan. If the car is if I can keep the car full of petrol and the weather is reasonable, I'll certainly be going up there, because it looks like it's going to be a great event. They've got a lot of classic Italian cars, including some competition cars that have been sort of hidden away and have now been edged out of their hiding places in order to be on display and even do some runs on the weekend up at Rob Roy. So so if you go down to Phillip Island, it'll be great down there. If you go to Rob Roy, it'll be fun. Wherever you go, whatever you do, we're going to go through this together. We'll see you next week on the program. So until then, everybody, I'm going to press the button that says end stream, and we'll say bye-bye, everyone.
Good night.